enlightened devotee. My attachment to my body, wife, children, and home is continuing by the spell of your external energy. But I wish to be attached to them no longer. My consciousness and everything I have be attached only to you. But there is no purpose, it seems. The sense of the pure and the purpose. To the 6th canto, 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Transcendental Qualities of Asura. O my Lord, my Master, I am wandering throughout this material world as a result of my fruitive activities. Therefore, I simply seek friendship in the association of your pious and enlightened devotees. My attachment to my body, wife, children, and home is continuing by the spell of your external energy. But I wish to be attached to them no longer. Let my mind, my consciousness, and everything I have be attached only to you. Hare Krishna. In this So this verse comes in the part of as part of the beautiful prayers of Maharaj Vitrasura, where Maharaj Vitrasura is expressing his eagerness to go back home, back to Godhead, to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. Maharaj Vitrasura has been praying, Aham Hare Tava Padaika Moolam Dasanudaso Bhavitasma Bhuya Manasmareta Supater Namaste Granita Vakam Karam Karotu Kaya. He is praying that, O Lord, when will I be able to get the opportunity to serve your lotus feet? Because then only my speech, my body, my words will be engaged in your service. When I become the servant of the servants, of your dear servants, or when I get the fortune to become the servant of the servants of your dear servants, Nanaka Prishtam Nacha Parameshtam Sarvabhauma Narasadhipatyam Na Yoga Siddhim Punarbhavam samanjasatva virahasya kangshe. He's saying, oh Lord, I don't want the sovereignty of the universe, the higher planetary systems, the lower planetary systems, the middle planetary systems, liberation. I only want the shelter of your lotus feet. And then he says, Ajata Paksha Iva Mataram Bhagam Sthanyam Yatha. He says, Priyam Priyeva Vishutam Vishanna. So he's saying, just like baby birds at the dusk are waiting very eagerly for their mother bird to come back so that they will feed them. Just like a baby calf is very desperately looking for the udder of his mother, looking for the opportunity that will be released and it will go run and suck the milk, drink the milk from its mother. Just like a lady is very eagerly waiting for her husband to return back because she knows when the husband comes back, he's gone far off, he'll come back, he'll satisfy her in all respects. In that same way, he's saying with Aswad Maharaj, I am very eager to obtain your lotus feet, O Lord. And therefore, in conclusion, Maharaj Vitrasur is saying that what I want is the association of your great devotees. Because by the spell of the external energy, there is this attachment. These material affairs, wife, children, and so on. But it is only by this association that our attachment of devotees, pious and enlightened devotees, that my attachment can be transferred to you. He's saying because of these fruitive activities, I'm wandering throughout this material world. Now I want to be attached. I seek the friendship, the association of your pious and enlightened devotees. Srila Prabhupada explains in purports, the second chapter, Bhagavad Gita, that this wandering of the living entity in this material world is brought about by an attempt to adjust to the situations of this world through fruitive activities. So just because of this adjustment game, which gets enacted out through fruitive activities, the entire wandering of the living entity in this material world is brought about. It is this adjustment game which saps away the entire life energy of the living entity. So the living entity is always running and struggling to somehow adjust to the changing situations. Simply adjusting to the changing situations. So we see that this material world is always changing. It changes parameters, it changes its demands. Uh, every now and then, the friction of the ground on which we are traversing changes. In one's family, one new member may get added, one member may get deleted uh, through breakup or leaving the body. Addition, deletion keeps taking place. Modification also taking place. Sometimes brothers, sisters turns into enemies. They're fighting over the property. So one's professional life things change. One's boss may change, company may change. So this material world keeps changing situations. The governments change. The laws of the government change. Taxation policies change. So this change always puts the living entity into this game or the zone of struggle. So much so that the mind is not able to think of anything other than the adjustment. That drive for adjustment saps away the entire energy of the living entity. Saps away the entire energy of the living entity. So that is how we see that the entanglement of this material world is brought about. And therefore, Lord Krishna is explaining that because of the mental concoctions, or owing to the mental concoctions, the living entity tries to act. So the action is by default directed by mental concoctions. And these mental concoctions simply further one's existence and stay into this dense forest of material existence, or which is also described in the Bhagavad Gita as a dense forest of illusion. The dense forest of illusion. And so, in this way, the living entity keeps traversing deeper and deeper and deeper. And therefore, Uttarasur Maharaj is explaining here that how by the sway of the illusory energy, one's attachment goes on increasing. And thus the living entity becomes more and more and more entangled. So if we let the situations dictate, situations of this world around, our family around, our professional settings around dictate our lives, then there is only unidirectional motion which is happening, which is further and further entrance into the dense darkness of this illusion, the forest of illusion. And therefore, the only way out or the only solution out is to develop indifference to the provocations of this world. A devotee answers every question by progressive service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada explains that to become unaffected by these sense desires, engagement in the activities of Krishna consciousness is required. One only needs to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. And that is what will lead to Achala Buddhi, and an intelligence which is not affected by the flux and the flicker of this material world, of these material situations. So the Lord explains that these material desires get enacted out by the drives of attachment and aversion. It is these drives of attachment and aversion which keep rolling a person on the drives or the trajectories of the material desires. And that is what keeps the living entity very much entangled. And therefore the Lord explains in 253, 54, Prajahati yada kaman dharman bhagavatamiha vitaraga bhaya krodha sitadir muniruchyate. That one who gives up these material desires and develops resistance to act either owing to attachment or owing to aversion, such a person becomes a person of steady intelligence. Because such a person is steadily fixed in his devotional service. So Srila Vitrasur Maharaj is explaining that the way to do that is to develop friendship with the devotees of the Lord. To develop that heart-to-heart connection and affinity for the devotees of the Lord, which ensures that One's haziness of vision will be cleared, and one's craziness of proclivities will be cured. So when we have the association of devotees, and the impression of Krishna consciousness, the impression of the urgency of Krishna consciousness gets imprinted in our hearts. The intensity of Krishna consciousness gets injected into our hearts. And that is why this association of devotees is the one point prayer which all acharyas of all times have been asking for. They don't mind any external circumstance, they don't mind any type of body which they are in. All they mind is, and in no circumstances they want to lose the association of the devotees. So by developing this friendship and affinity for the devotees of the Lord, the heart of the Lord, the desires of the Lord, the mission of the Lord gets conducted to our hearts. The channel is through friendship. In fact, the devotees of the Lord bring out or manifest the desire of the Lord in a much more uh, colorful manner. And that is what Srila Prabhupada explains, or in the purports to first canto Srimad Bhagavatam, that this message of the Bhagavatam is already sweet, but when it comes through the person Bhagavat, and the message Bhagavat becomes even more sweeter, because what is added into the of the message of Bhagavat is the very sweet realizations and the experiences of the person Bhagavat. And therefore, as the message comes in the parampara, it becomes more and more sweeter. This goes to show that the very message of the Lord, the desire of the Lord becomes much more colorful and much more attractive when it is coming through the devotees of the Lord. And that is why Uttama Shloka Janeshu Sakhyam is the worthy aspiration which a devotee should have, and which can make or change the entire scenario from mundane attachments uh, to from mundane attachments to attachment to the service of the Lord, uh, the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Let's stop here for today. Do we have any questions? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय।